My name's Ryan McLaughlin, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what career I am interested in and what I want to pursue in the future. I'll start off talking a little bit about how I became interested in it, and then get into more of the advantages and disadvantages of the profession, and also kind of how you go about trying to acquire a job within this field. So, starting off, I became interested in business back in high school when I did DECA, and I went through that whole process, and I knew that Penn State was probably the best option for me to continue to pursue my passion. When I got to Penn State, I joined the different organizations such as the Investment Association and the Fixed Income Association. I also had the ability to interview and join Wall Street Boot Camp, where I really discovered what I wanted to do as a career, which was investment banking on Wall Street. At Wall Street Boot Camp, I was fortunate enough to hear a ton of past Penn State alumni stories about how they had successful careers on Wall Street and kind of the path that they took and how they could help us. Specifically, hearing from Todd Wright, who was a managing director at UBS. He talked all about the advantages and disadvantages and kind of the different roles that investment bankers do every day. And I knew this was something that I really wanted to do. And then speaking more on why I wanted to do it, there's three main reasons why I wanted to do investment banking. Starting off with number one, it's impactful from the functions that you perform. The jobs that you do within this profession have the ability to have huge impacts on people's lives, companies, and some cases, different countries. People rely on you to be their financial advisor, to guide them through either times that can be rough, like today with the virus, or through expansion into moving towards newer goals with M&A activity. Either way, they come to you for a reason to seek the top financial advice, and I want to be in a position where I have the ability to do so. This leads into kind of the next reason, which is like the ever-changing environment within investment banking. So not every day is the same, and that message has been relayed to me on and on as more people that I've spoken with. I find this to be one of the best aspects actually because it allows you to be more well-rounded as a worker and improve a lot on many different things. So one day you are working on helping raise capital for a company, and the next day you're doing restructuring or debt financing. It is fast-moving and intense, which leads into the final reason, which is the intensity of the job. The intensity with this job is pretty much like no other. I understand the long hours and all the hard work that goes into being the best possible worker and person that you can be, but during the job, but also outside as well. Hearing and talking to many people on the phone as I've been networking, this message has been relayed on as well. And Mike Capola from Deutsche Bank just said yesterday on the phone, the grind really never stops, and you have to better yourself every day, whether that be by continuing to read and stay up to date on the economy, or just looking for more ways to bring more value either to your firm or just yourself in general. Another advantage with investment banking is obviously like the salary. With those three things that I mentioned before, it all kind of gets tied into why the salaries are a little higher regarding these particular jobs. So, according to Investopedia, initial analysts come in making around $75,000 to $96,000 outside, coming right out of college, which is a really staggering amount of money especially when you're just coming out of college, and that's just like another perk for that hard work that gets put in. Some of the disadvantages of investment banking are obviously number one, the long hours. We saw this in a Wall Street Oasis article talking about, on average, investment bankers work around 80 hours a week, but this is actually really depends on what bank you're looking at. It really varies between when you're talking about one versus the other. As I was talking to Todd Wright from UBS, he suggested that UBS has longer hours regarding analysts and associates nearing closer to 100 hours a week, whereas Mike Capola from Deutsche Bank said that it's closer to around 80 to 75 hours a week. Really depends on what bank you are looking at. Another disadvantage for investment banking is you could possibly lose weekends and holidays just based on deal flow and activity. This was according to the Wall Street Journal. So that is just another thing to take into consideration. Obviously, when the economy starts picking up and deal flow starts increasing, you might lose weekends and you might have longer hours, and you might also lose certain holidays depending on when that really picks up. It's a very cyclical environment, and that's another thing I actually kind of like. So you might have like 2 weeks off of maybe not doing so much, but then those next 2 weeks you could be full on super busy with a bunch of different activities and work to be done. So this is one of the main reasons I want to be an investment banker, and to talk a little bit about the progress and how you get to this point. It actually starts super early. So I'm actually trying to get my internship for next summer already. I'm networking with a bunch of different banks, and it's really network or you don't work. You have to go set yourself out there, talk to these different banks, socialize with them, figure out what is their day-to-day activities, kind of just talking about the bank in general. And that's kind of where it starts off. You need obviously your bachelor's degree for 4 years of a college, and then from there it's really how much hard work you put in. And that's why I really want to be an investment banker.